Let me ask you something. Have you ever found yourself trapped? You're thinking, you're working, you're trying, and yet nothing changes. It's like being stuck in quicksand. The more you move, the deeper you sink. The more you struggle, the more trapped you feel. Here's one of life's great paradoxes. The mind that created your problem cannot be the same mind that solves it. That's right. You cannot solve a problem with the same level of thinking that created it. You need something else, something higher, something better. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. And he was right. You see, most people believe that if they just try harder, work longer, think faster, they'll break through. But what they really need is not more effort. What they need is new thinking. Today, we're going to talk about that. We're going to explore why your current mindset may be the very thing holding you back and how to rise above it. Because once you see it, you can change it. And once you change it, everything changes. Let's begin with a simple truth. What's comfortable isn't always helpful. The mind, your mind, is a powerful instrument. It can create incredible results. But it can also create incredible problems. Most of the time, people don't fail because they lack intelligence. They fail because they keep repeating the same kind of thinking that got them into trouble in the first place. I call it the trap of familiar thinking. Why do people stay trapped? Because familiar thinking is comfortable. It's like an old pair of shoes. You know exactly how they feel. Even if they're worn out, even if they hurt you, you keep wearing them. You say, this is how I've always done it. This is how I was raised. This is what I've been taught. But let me tell you something. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. Success is not a matter of simply doing more of the same. Sometimes, success requires you to abandon what you've known, to question it, to rise above it. When you're trapped in familiar thinking, your mind becomes a prison. The bars are made of your own beliefs. The chains are made of your own habits. You see problems the same way. You react the same way. You justify the same way. And you wonder why nothing changes. You work harder, but nothing moves. You struggle, but stay in place, like a hamster running on a wheel. Exhausted, but not progressing. That's because the thinking that got you into the problem cannot get you out. Some people believe that effort alone will save them. Work harder, stay up later, push more, sweat more. But let me warn you, effort without new thinking is wasted energy. You can dig all day with a spoon. But if you need to build a skyscraper, a spoon won't get you there. It's not just about effort. It's about strategy. It's about perspective. It's about seeing something you couldn't see before. Why do people hold on to old thinking? Simple. It feels safe. The unknown scares most people. New ideas feel risky. Change feels uncomfortable. But growth always begins where comfort ends. Let me say that again for you. Growth always begins where comfort ends. The first step to escape the trap of familiar thinking is to admit that you're trapped. That takes humility. That takes honesty. You have to say, maybe I don't know everything. Maybe my way isn't working. Maybe there's a better way. And let me tell you, that one moment of humility can open doors you never imagined. Let me share a simple story. Two farmers face a drought. The first one says, "This is terrible. There's nothing I can do. The rain will come when it comes," so he waits. The second farmer says, "I can't control the rain. But maybe I can dig a well. Maybe I can build an irrigation system. Maybe I can store water for the dry season." And so he works. The same problem, two minds, two outcomes. You see, the first farmer was trapped in familiar thinking. Rain comes from the sky. I can only wait. The second farmer changed his thinking. A water is water. I can find it elsewhere. The problem was never the drought. The problem was the thinking. And so it is with your life. Most of your problems are not the real problem. Your thinking about the problem is the problem. You don't need to work harder. You need to think better. Familiar thinking is a comfort zone that disguises itself as wisdom. But if it's not producing results, it's not wisdom. The mind that created your problem cannot solve it. But the mind that's willing to grow can solve anything. Awareness is the beginning of change. Awareness is where the chains start to break. Most people live their entire lives without ever truly seeing what is holding them back. They see the symptoms. They feel the frustration. They experience the struggle. But they don't see the cause. And because they don't see the cause, they can't change the result. You see, life has a way of giving you exactly what you tolerate. Not what you want. Not what you hope for. But what you tolerate. And if you tolerate bad thinking, if you tolerate poor habits, if you tolerate excuses, life will continue to give you exactly that. That's why awareness is so powerful. Because the moment you see it, you can change it. But you can't change what you refuse to see. You can't fix what you don't acknowledge. The first breakthrough in any personal development journey is not learning some secret formula. It's not reading one more book or attending one more seminar. The first breakthrough is finally seeing what you were blind to. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. The furniture was always there. The obstacles were always there. You just couldn't see them before. And because you couldn't see them, you kept bumping into them. You kept stumbling. You kept falling. When you're unaware, you blame external things. You say, the market is bad. You say, the economy is slow. You say, the world is unfair. But when you become aware, you start asking different questions. You start saying, what am I not seeing? You start saying, what patterns am I repeating? You start saying, how am I contributing to this situation? That's when true growth begins. Awareness demands honesty, and honesty is rare. Most people would rather stay blind than face the discomfort of admitting, I have been wrong. My thinking has been limited. My perspective has been narrow. But let me tell you something important. The pain of awareness is far better than the pain of regret. The truth will sting for a moment, but blindness will sting for a lifetime. When you become aware, you start noticing things you never noticed before. You start seeing your excuses for what they are. You start recognizing your patterns. You start hearing the words you speak and realizing how they shape your outcomes. You say, I'll never be good with money. And your subconscious listens. You say, I'm just not lucky. And your mind accepts it. You say, I'm not like those successful people. And you build your own invisible walls. But when you become aware, you hear those words differently. You catch yourself. You stop and you correct. You say, no, I'm learning to be better with money. You say, no, I create my own luck through preparation and hard work. You say, no, I can learn the skills that successful people have. That's awareness. That's the beginning of new thinking. You don't have to be perfect to be aware. You don't have to have all the answers. You simply have to be willing to observe yourself. Become a student of your own life. Watch your habits. Listen to your words. Examine your choices. Every action you take is either pulling you toward your goals or pushing you further away. There is no neutral. Awareness allows you to see where your ship is really heading. Because you can't steer a ship when you don't know which direction you're sailing. Most people drift. They let the wind take them wherever it blows. And then they complain about where they end up. But the aware person grabs the wheel. They say, I see the wind. I see the current. But I choose the direction. That's the power of awareness. Sometimes awareness comes suddenly. A book shakes you. A conversation challenges you. A failure wakes you up. Other times, it comes slowly. Bit by bit, you start seeing pieces you never saw before. And each piece gives you more control over your life. Let me tell you one of the great secrets of success. Life will give you anything you want if you first become aware of why you don't have it now. That's the uncomfortable part. Because it means looking inward. It means facing your fears, your laziness, your procrastination, your indecision. But when you do, you unlock freedom. You move from victim to creator. You move from confusion to clarity. You move from frustration to progress. The difference between people who grow and people who stay stuck is not luck. It's not intelligence. It's awareness. You can't solve a problem you don't see. And you can't improve a life you won't examine. Awareness turns the light on. And once the light is on, you are never the same again. The mind that created your problem cannot solve it. But the mind that becomes aware of its own limitations can rise above them. Once you become aware, once you finally see what you couldn't see before, the next step is critical. You must shift the mindset. You must upgrade your thinking. Because awareness alone isn't enough. It's powerful. It opens the door. But walking through the door requires something else. It requires new thinking. The mind that created your problem was running on an old system. Old beliefs, old habits, old stories. If you want new results, you need a new operating system. You don't fix a broken system by hoping. You replace it by upgrading. Think about it like this: if your computer is outdated, filled with old software, full of viruses, and you keep trying to run new programs, it will crash. No matter how much you type, no matter how many times you click, it simply can't process the new demands. You need a system upgrade. The same is true for your mind. Your old programming has limits. Limits on what you believe is possible. Limits on how much you believe you deserve. Limits on how far you think you can go. And here's the painful truth: much of that programming didn't come from you. It was given to you from parents, from teachers, from society, from your past failures, from your fears. As a child, you may have heard money doesn't grow on trees. You're not smart enough. People like us don't succeed. And slowly, piece by piece, those words built walls inside your mind. Now, as an adult, you keep bumping into those invisible walls. You try to break through, but the old mindset keeps pulling you back. The solution: upgrade the belief system. Start asking better questions. Stop asking, "Why can't I?" Start asking, "How can I?" Stop saying, "I've never done it before." Start saying, "How do I learn to do it now?" Stop saying, "I'm not like them." Start saying, "What skills do they have that I can develop?" The quality of your life will always follow the quality of your questions. Small questions produce small answers. Big questions open big doors. Your old thinking is filled with limitations. Your new thinking must be filled with possibilities. Instead of thinking, "I hope I succeed," you think, "What steps can I take daily to create success?" Instead of thinking, "I'm afraid of failing," you think, "Every failure teaches me something valuable." That's the upgrade. It's not magic. It's intentional. You replace old thoughts with stronger ones. You replace doubt with discipline. You replace fear with preparation. You replace procrastination with action. You stop living reactively and start living proactively. The upgraded mind does not wait for perfect conditions. It creates them. The upgraded mind does not surrender to fear. It faces it. It studies it. It moves anyway. The upgraded mind knows that growth always lies just beyond what feels comfortable. If you want to shift your mindset, you must feed it new information. New books, new mentors, new ideas, new challenges. Because here's another truth: you can't create new thinking from the same environment that produced your old thinking. If everyone around you thinks small, speaks small, lives small, soon you'll shrink to fit the room. But if you enter rooms where people think bigger, expect more, demand more from themselves, you'll stretch, you'll expand, you'll rise. Your mindset is like a thermostat. It sets the temperature for your entire life. If your internal setting says, "Stay average," every time you rise above average, you'll self-sabotage and bring yourself back down. Not because you can't go higher, but because your mind is set to a lower standard. When you shift the mindset, you adjust the setting. You say, "I deserve excellence." You say, "I can handle success." You say, "I am capable of more." And your actions start matching your beliefs. That's why most people fail permanently. They change their actions without ever changing their mindset. They go on a diet without changing how they think about health. They start a business without changing how they think about money. They chase relationships without changing how they think about self-worth. Behavior change without mindset change is temporary. Mindset change creates permanent transformation. The mind that created your problem was doing its best with what it knew. But you're not that person anymore. You've seen the truth. You've faced the reality. Now it's time to upgrade. New thoughts, new beliefs, new standards. And once your mind shifts, everything else will follow. The moment you upgrade your thinking, you start solving problems that once felt impossible. Because you're not approaching them as the same person you once were. You've grown. You've expanded. You've upgraded. And that changes everything. You've become aware. You've decided to upgrade your thinking. Now comes one of the most powerful secrets of success. You don't do it alone. The mind that created your problem can't solve it because it can only see what it knows. But someone else, someone with more experience, more wisdom, more perspective, can often see what you cannot. That's where mentors enter. A mentor is someone who has walked the path you wish to walk. They've faced the obstacles you have not yet faced. They've solved problems you still struggle with. They carry wisdom you have not yet earned. You see, it's hard to read the label when you're inside the bottle. You can't see your blind spots because they're blind spots. But a mentor can see them. And when they speak truth into your situation, it can feel like they're reading your mind. Not because they are magical, but because they've been there. One conversation with the right mentor can save you years of frustration. One insight can save you from making a costly mistake. One word of caution can redirect your entire journey. But here's the key: you must be humble enough to listen. You must be wise enough to seek counsel. The foolish say, "I already know." The wise say, "Teach me what I do not see." Many people resist mentors because their ego is too loud. They believe asking for help is weakness. They believe learning from others means admitting inferiority. But let me tell you, the strongest people are the ones who continue to learn. The greatest leaders are the ones who remain teachable. I have learned that success leaves clues. The life you want to build has already been built by someone. The problems you face have already been solved by someone. All you have to do is study them. All you have to do is ask. All you have to do is listen. But mentors are not only people. Mentors can also be books. Mentors can be courses. Mentors can be seminars. Mentors can be experiences. Every book you read is a conversation with the author. Every page is their lifetime of knowledge compressed into your hands. You may not have access to sit across from great minds, but you can access their thoughts in writing. That's why I always say, your library will feed your mind. Your television will starve it. The average person spends hours consuming entertainment. The extraordinary person spends hours feeding their mind new inputs. The mind that created your problem can't solve it, but the mind that feeds on new information, new strategies, and new perspectives can rise above the problem. Expose yourself to new ideas. Attend seminars. Surround yourself with people who think bigger than you do. Engage in conversations that challenge your assumptions. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You need rooms that stretch you. You need people who challenge your comfort zones. Mentors will often tell you what you don't want to hear, but desperately need to hear. And that discomfort is the price of growth. They'll point out your excuses. They'll reveal your inconsistencies. They'll hold you to higher standards. A mentor doesn't accept your limitations. They challenge them. They pull you forward. They refuse to let you settle. Without mentors, you may continue making the same mistakes for years. With mentors, you can compress decades of learning into months. And don't wait until you feel ready to seek guidance. The most successful people seek guidance before they face disaster. They say, "Show me where I'm blind. Show me what I'm missing. Help me avoid the traps I cannot see." A mentorship is leverage. It multiplies your learning. It multiplies your growth. It multiplies your progress. And here's something else. Sometimes the mentor you need is not where you expect. Sometimes a failure can be your mentor. Sometimes a difficult season can teach you more than 1,000 lectures. If you're willing to learn, life itself becomes your mentor. But never forget the value of human mentorship, men and women who have walked before you. Their wisdom is gold, their experience is priceless, and their guidance can turn your struggle into your success. In every stage of life, seek new mentors. Your old mentors prepared you for where you are. Your next mentors will prepare you for where you're going. The mind that created your problem can't solve it. But with new inputs, new counsel, and new guidance, you develop a mind that can. In the end, all of this leads to one great reward: transformation. Because that's what we're really after. Not just better results, not just more money, not just bigger titles. Transformation. Becoming the kind of person who can solve bigger problems. Becoming the kind of person who can handle greater responsibility. Becoming the kind of person who is not intimidated by challenges, but is energized by them. You see, life gives you problems according to your current strength. Small minds face small problems. Big minds face big problems. And here's what I've learned: don't wish for life to get easier. Wish to become stronger. Don't wish for fewer problems. Wish for greater skills. Because when you become bigger on the inside, everything on the outside changes. In the beginning, you may feel overwhelmed. The problems feel bigger than you. The obstacles seem too high. The challenges feel impossible. But if you stay on the path, if you stay committed to growth, something remarkable happens. You begin to outgrow your problems. What once made you panic now feels routine. What once kept you up at night now barely grabs your attention. What once seemed like a mountain now feels like a small hill. Not because life changed, but because you did. You became wiser. You became stronger. You became more capable. The upgraded mind sees obstacles differently. It no longer says, "Why is this happening to me?" It says, "What is this teaching me?" It no longer says, "I can't handle this." It says, "I am built for this." That's transformation. Not just skill improvement, but identity improvement. Not just what you do, but who you are. The real secret of success is not in avoiding problems. It's becoming the kind of person who thrives in the face of problems. Every successful person you admire has simply become excellent at solving bigger problems. They didn't eliminate problems. They became problem solvers. The business leader solves bigger business problems. The athlete overcomes bigger performance challenges. The entrepreneur handles bigger financial pressures. Their reward is not the absence of problems. It's the confidence they've earned from conquering them. You see, money, success, influence, they're simply the byproducts of personal growth. Life pays you according to the size of problems you can solve. The person who solves 10 problems earns our 10 rewards. The person who solves the 10,000 problems earns our 10,000 rewards. And the person who solves million-dollar problems, they're compensated accordingly. So ask yourself, what size problems am I currently solving? What size problems am I avoiding because they feel too big? And who must I become to solve bigger ones? Transformation isn't a single moment. It's the accumulation of small shifts repeated consistently. A new belief here, a new habit there, a new decision today, a new discipline tomorrow. Brick by brick, you build the person who is no longer overwhelmed but prepared. No longer fearful but confident. No longer reactive but proactive. And here's one more truth: the problems never stop coming. They simply change form as you rise. At level 1, your problems are simple. At level 5, your problems are more complex. But your capacity grows with each level. That's why personal development is a lifelong journey. There's always another level. There's always a bigger version of you waiting to emerge. The moment you stop growing is the moment you start shrinking. Stagnation is the slow death of potential. So stay hungry, stay teachable, stay disciplined. Because the ultimate reward is not the house you buy, the car you drive, or the title you wear. The ultimate reward is who you become in the process. The man or woman who once feared failure now embraces challenge. The one who once doubted their abilities now leads others. The one who once ran from problems now runs toward them. That's transformation. That's the goal. The mind that created your problem couldn't solve it. But you've upgraded that mind. You've fed it new ideas. You've surrounded it with mentors. You've shifted your beliefs. You've stepped into discomfort. And now you've become the person who creates solutions where others see only obstacles. The person who no longer asks, "Will I survive this?" but confidently declares, "I will grow from this." That's who you are becoming. And that is true success.